What's up, y'all? This is Mike Manzer with another Manzer Faust Productions video. Today, I'm doing Volume 4 of my Getting to Know Your Partner Labels series, concentrating on the OCN partner labels. Um, just like, you know, I like diving into these specific partner labels because like each one of them has their own kind of identity, and that can change up and down. Like they kind of go in with a specific mission statement, but sometimes they can surprise you. They can come out with something you're just like, well, I didn't even expect this label to release this specific title, but definitely happy that they do a lot of the time. Today, I'm going back to like more of an art kind of format. More of the stuff you want to see on a big screen. I have a projector set up in my bedroom. This is definitely one of those labels that I watch the shit out of on that big screen. It's like almost the perfect way to view a lot of these. And that is Deaf Crocodile. Um, Really interesting company. It's out of LA. Their focus seems to be on these very like internationally focused, kind of bit of like a Soviet kind of thing. You got a lot of stuff coming out of Russia, Romania, Czechoslovakia, um, different places like that. You do have some American releases. A lot of interesting animation and a lot of films they're digging up that kind of got like a bad reputation. I hate to say some of these were featured on MST3K, and people might have had this image of, oh, I saw the MST3K episode, and that movie didn't look too great. Doesn't give it like the proper context that some of these movies really deserve. And I got two of those, so I'll bring those up when I get to them. Um, but they have this like hankering for like animation, and some of the animation that they release is just mind-boggling. Just all these different kind of like genre mashups and different formats and all that kind of stuff within these animated films. And once again, for places you do not typically think of. Czechoslovakia, yeah, it's pretty common uh, place for cinema. There's a whole bunch of like great cinema coming out of Czechoslovakia, which I still need to dig deeper into, along with Russian and some other parts of the world. But it does dig into these more like kind of niche kind of subgenres within those countries, that may be more well known within the uh, cinematic landscape, let's say. So, first up, I want to talk about I believe this is German, French, German. Swiss French. So we got the first release on the label. That is the Unknown Man of Shandigor. God damn it! It's early. I'm fucking up already. Really like this slip. As I always say, they got really great artwork on these slips. I really like the aesthetic of this film. It's almost like a European spy film mixed with like Doctor Strangelove. You definitely got Alphaville aesthetic to this, the classic Godard film. Even a little bit of like Breathless, the way that the editing and the kind of jumpy editing. A lot of early Godard, a lot of French New Wave kind of influence within this. This is from '67. Just really cool aesthetics. I really like the way that the black and white looks. Um, there's a lot of like those kind of Doctor Strangelove style, like weird angles and close ups and surrealist kind of imagery. You got some really strange. I believe there's like a musical number halfway through, which plays off kind of odd. I can usually tolerate musical numbers when they're in French for some reason. There's a few other early Godard films that have a lot of French music in them, and I can usually take it a lot better than just randomly going into song when it's in English. I don't know why that is, but it's got a cool kind of Cold War, like paranoia kind of thing. This is like 67, so it was just starting to really hit its like heights of just insanity as far as the Cold War goes, and it's just it's a really fun movie. It's really great to look at. It's just a fucking beautiful um, restoration work done on this film. It's got a shit ton of special features, some interviews with the director, some TV documentaries, stuff like that from the time period. A lot of great archival stuff. That's another thing that Deaf Crocodile and honestly, a lot of the other partner labels do give you a great context into the kind of culture and industry surrounding these particular releases, these films. Really gives you like kind of a backstory that's kind of interesting. So if you don't know a lot about these countries like me, you can really learn about them and learn about their film history and really go on these crazy deep dives. I think the label that sends me off on the craziest deep dives is definitely Deaf Crocodile because just the stuff that they are able to pull out. I'm like, where did they find this? Where is this coming from? What else does this director, this production company, this country, this culture, what else are they responsible for? So it can really send you off on these really crazy goose chases to find a lot of this stuff. But luckily, they're pretty prolific in releasing a lot of it too. So yeah, um, these are all films that could easily make it onto like a Criterion or a Kino, um, label. So yeah, totally love this. And I love that kind of '60s black and white, Doctor Strangelove kind of aesthetic. Very like it's very cool kind of thing. Like a lot of those early French New Wave kind of films, Breathless and Alphaville, even Band of Outsiders, things like that. A lot of that Godard stuff and Melville, The Samurai. What I love about those films is like you get this jagged, kind of chaotic, loose narrative kind of editing to the whole thing, but at the same time, like the music is very driving. You got that free jazz kind of feel to some of these soundtracks, and that definitely is used a lot in this. You got like a little bit more of an orchestral kind of vibe to the soundtrack, but it's a very crazy, and the story's very cool. You got this kind of like I said, it's like a spy trying to there's a guy who's like invented this device to sterilize all nuclear weapons, and it's this kind of like it's just a crazy like you got these spies trying to take him down, and like other people trying to blow up every like nuke on the planet. There's a lot of different weird kind of places this movie can go. You definitely have like a Doctor Strangelove kind of character. I'm trying to remember his name, the character's name, but whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah. So the jazz kind of lounge performance. Yeah, Serge Gainsbourg is like the leader of this whole like kind of crazy hipster. They're all into turtlenecks and like glasses and stuff. It looks like something that would definitely like inspire something like a Tarantino or something later on. They do a song called Bye Bye Spy, and it's actually a pretty catchy song. I remember enjoying it within the film quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, just very cool kind of aesthetic movie, and yeah, it's and it does fit in with if you're a fan of stuff like Breathless and Alphaville, Doctor Strangelove, some of the weirder kind of Doctor Who early on too as well. Just a ton of different stuff like coming together, like it's great, like European '60s cinema, all in all. So yeah, check it out. Up next, going over to Romania. They have a couple of these films released. I think they're by the same company. But these are animated Romanian films, kind of made at a time when heavy metal was like a big thing. The film of heavy metal, probably the magazine as well, um, where you were taking a lot of different kind of like formats of filmmaking, kind of mashing them all together, different animation styles. This goes for kind of like a rotoscope meets just like bizarre, like classic animation. A lot of great uses of surrealism. Um, you got like a lot of great like character designs, and like the music in this is very much sort of in that vein of like a craft work, um, kind of like early synth, like German synth kind of stuff, but mixed in with like a lot of like just crazy experimental kind of sounds and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, uh, Delta Space Mission. Like I love how beautiful this film looks. Like there's some shots like this right here when they're like floating through space. There's like these weird like triangular kind of like, definitely influenced by like 2001 A Space Odyssey, obviously like the big trippy light speed segment towards the end. You can definitely see a lot of the influence from like how they shot that coming into this, but they also bring in like a ton of other kind of elements. You definitely got like a lot of different ideas coming from like classic sci-fi. Like like there's a ton of like silent running and like the kind of stuff that inspired like Star Wars, Flash Gordon, um, that kind of like, it's like serialized kind of stuff, but in a more like kind of avant-garde kind of 80s synthy aesthetic. Just very cool. It's almost got like a kind of like Saturday morning cartoons on like acid kind of feel to it, because it does have the story does have a bit of a feel of the kind of like He-Man and Thundercats kind of stuff, but it's played very straight. It's like exciting. I love this little pet dog kind of character. He's a robot, and it's like seeing him kind of interact with like the different worlds that they're visiting is very kind of cute and cool. I really like the aesthetic of that character. Um, Basically, it's a space station. They bring on this character. What is her name? Okay, Alma, coming from, so she comes on this spacecraft. I guess she's like a journalist. She's trying to learn more about this like spacecraft, what the humans plan on doing with it, and everything like that. And while she's visiting, I guess the entire craft is sort of like overseen by this kind of orb, like high technological orb that can do all this. Like it's sort of like a very much like a god kind of character, and everything within the ship is controlled. The space station is controlled by this kind of orb, and the orb sees this alien and just falls like obsessively in love with her, and she doesn't, want anything to do with him, or does not understand his kind of, intentions. So he ends up pretty much sabotaging the entire ship, and just all this crazy stuff happens. It's kind of hard to explain because it is this very surreal kind of. But she ends up escaping, and they have to go and find her, and all this kind of stuff. It's just very, very cool kind of like, story to it. There's a bunch of short films based in the same kind of universe. Yeah, it's just like a really fun aesthetic, and it looks great on like a giant screen. If you have a projector, I definitely recommend this because it just looks fucking beautiful, man. It's such a great looking film, and like I said, like Romania, they were, you know, they had a few of these. The other one, I think it's called Son of the Stars, which I still need to get, but I'm really excited to check that one out too because it's a similar kind of style. I just love like how this looks, and the music, and the kind of like, playful yet like very serious kind of approach to storytelling that it takes. Like it's a good mixture of like that heavy metal, the film of heavy metal, mixed with like a Saturday morning like Hanna-Barbera on crack kind of like aesthetic, a bit of like a like 80s, like late 70s, early 80s kind of early video game kind of aesthetic. You got like some kind of influences from like Atari, that kind of like the box art and the kind of like promotional materials that they would use for a lot of these Atari games, like the space shooters and stuff like that. You see a lot of that within this as well. It's just really cool taking all these different aesthetics and kind of combining them together, and it's just a fun film. It's not that long. It's 70 minutes, goes by pretty quick. You'll have enough time to, dig into the shorter films as well. And yeah, it feels like one big piece once you're done with it. And I really do enjoy it. Like I said, I still got to get the other release that they have done. I believe it's called Son of the Stars. But yeah, it's Delta Space Mission, man. I'm so happy to have this. It's just such a cool flick. Okay, up next, we got two of this style. And I remember when this first one came out, I was reading up on it. I believe it came out last year, 2022. So, like, I was kind of just diving into some of these partner labels for the first time. I believe a bunch of them just signed on, like, the year before in 2021. So, slowly digging into some of these, and just reading the description of this totally blew my mind. The amount of like extras and the sort of Harryhausen kind of aesthetic to the the way it's like filmed and stuff like that, like stop motion and like characters, like just insane amounts of stuff going into this. Just a real epic kind of feel. And the other was, it was a Russian-based company doing a lot of these, just like filming these like very epic films that dove a lot into Russian and sort of other Soviet kind of countries at the time, their kind of folklore, their history, these different folk stories that are passed down generation to generation through these countries. First one is, let me get the, So the U.S. version is known as Sword and the Dragon. I'm gonna try my best. Ilya Murumets. Ilya Murumets. I don't know. I tried. very cool. This is see, it's tough with some of these international ones because I know that there was like a specific studio. The director Alexander Plochko. Again, excuse my awful pronunciation. But yeah, like this is so cool. Like such a beautiful fucking film. Using a lot of that like Harryhausen, like you got these giant kind of like cyclops monsters, and like there's a shot at the beginning of this like kind of um, warrior on horseback, and he's this gigantic kind of figure, and you see the actual humans like speaking to this gigantic being, and they're like this fucking big, man. This is another one that uses a lot of like musicals, kind of like music throughout it. But I love the music in this. It's very catchy. It has a little bit of like that early Disney kind of aesthetic, but it's darker. It's more epic, and it's got more of that Russian, what I know of Russian kind of music, mostly like like Soviet era kind of like nationalist propaganda kind of music, but still like you hear a lot of that influence in the musical numbers throughout this, and it's all about like what you would think of this very like patriotic, like fighting for country and all that kind of stuff. It's just very like fascinating look to the whole thing. That's what kind of brings me back to it the most. Is just like putting it on. You can put it on silent and just like gaze at it, and it's just fucking beautiful, man. Just such an amazing like work of art for the time it was made. When did this come out? This is from 1956. Like, it's insane what went into this, and it's all practical. Nothing. There was no computers anywhere near this. And it's sort of famous because this and the other film I'm going to talk about were featured on MST3K. So, they probably had a reputation that was like more in line with the kind of films that they would typically pull from that. But man, this is definitely one to dig into if you love like, European classic cinema. You love Ray Harryhausen kind of stuff. You love just like these kind of epic cinematic marvels of a past age. This is just gorgeous. And another one that they came out with, this time coming from Finland and focusing more on a Finnish folklore. This is Sampo. Very cool. Great, like, artwork once again. And this is just mind-blowingly beautiful. There's like shots of water with these big like kind of boats. This like their use of rear projection looks very cool. Like, it adds like a lot. It feels like so real. I feel like a couple of months ago I talked about Gorgo and how the goofy kind of the way that the rear projection looks when it's been updated into 4K and stuff kind of throws it off. Like, the feel of the movie gets a little wonky, but right here, this works perfectly. This just looks gorgeous. Like, everything fits together so well. You got this kind of like would you call her like a witch? Yeah, they got this like witch character that like wants this Sampo, which gives like a ton of like power to whoever has it, and it could produce like gold and grain and all these kind of things. She like there's a whole like plot of her stealing the sun and all this kind of stuff. They gotta go after her, and like you got members of like the family like perishing. Like it's got this revenge aspect to it. It's just very cool. Again, the songs are really good. Not as many songs as I think the first film had, but it's just a very like you got this kind of epic, but it does have a bit in with like that Disney kind of like hero's journey kind of like playfulness to it. I really had a good time with this one. I don't remember it too much, like both of these kind of. It's been like a year since I watched both of them, so it's kind of a bit fuzzy. But yeah, this was like very cool. I love both of these, and even if you've seen like the old MST3K episodes, like seeing these in a new light will definitely get you to appreciate them. So yeah, definitely highly recommended for both of those. Up next, this is one that they were doing like a huge promotion for like a Kickstarter campaign for, and they've done that a few times since. I believe their newest two releases have been through Kickstarter, and also the next film I'm going to talk about. But I saw this and I'm like, hell yeah. And like this is going in a different way because this is a previous lost film. A lot of people are not aware of it, and it's been, hard to get a hold of in the past. And they use this Kickstarter campaign to like, get, the licensing for the song soundtrack and everything like that, and really do like a great job. Like there was a lot of pieces that were kind of a little wonky on this. It has a warning at the beginning, like certain frames can be, if you have like the eye for it. But I didn't really notice any serious problems. I think the whole vibe of the film was sucking me in enough that I kind of just ignored that. Yeah, so this is Soloman King. This is from 74. So this is like right in the prime time of blaxploitation, and this fits in perfectly with like a lot of that kind of like stuff that was coming out at the time. I don't know if you could call this a vanity project, but it's definitely independent. It's definitely shot like there's some guerrilla style kind of stuff happening. The music is really great. It's got that like kind of Curtis Mayfield did the Superfly soundtrack. All these famous like blaxploitation soundtracks, but it's like this one's really great too. Like, and it's got a little bit of playfulness. It's got this whole kind of like, I believe it's Egyptian or like Middle Eastern style, like kind of crossover with it. The people that he's going up against, who murdered his girlfriend, are very tied into this big like Middle Eastern kind of cult, this kind of militant group. It's great, man. Like, if you love blaxploitation, this is like right up your alley. Like, it just goes up there with some of the best of the genre, and it's a lesser known one. A lot of the fucking special features on this are very cool. You got some archival interviews with the people involved with it. Just like, it's got a bit of comedy to it as well. It's got a bit of Dolomite kind of comedy to it, but when it needs like great action, there's some great chase scenes, and it feels very guerrilla filmmaking. It feels like authentic, like it's just like great independent filmmaking. Like, how does it like use that style of like filmmaking to its like benefit? Just very cool, and like the whole look of it, they did an amazing job with this restoration because it looks gorgeous. Sometimes some of these films from the 70s can be a bit wonky, you know, like different film elements and stuff can kind of contrast with one another. And like I said, they do have that warning that I like didn't really notice any problems. It says around like the third reel, I believe. But I didn't see any problems at all. I thought it looked gorgeous all the way through, which is a testament to how much, you know, like talent the people doing these restorations have, and how important Deaf Crocodile, the work that they're doing, how important that is. Just getting these films out there and making them look as great as possible. Yeah, I highly recommend this one. I think like this one I would recommend the highest, just because it's such like a, you know, a popular genre, and it's like one of the best like unsung heroes of that genre, one of the great almost lost films of that genre. So yeah, Soloman King, so fucking good. But as far as my favorite release, my favorite film out of this, it's another animated film. I guess you can call it animated, but this is just crazy. Just this is another one. I saw the way it looks and the kind of the animation style that it's in, and just like how it's this world that it's kind of building, just so fascinating. And just like they do what's great about world building, and just it's like just out there, man. This is The Pied Piper. Let me get the date on this. This is from '86. This is a shorter kind of film. It's under an hour, but man, it is a ride. So yeah, this is from Czechoslovakia. This is like a weird kind of animation style that's sort of uses wood kind of carvings. Like all the set pieces are these giant like wood carvings, and the characters, these I guess they're supposed to be people, you know, represent like human beings and stuff. They're all like really detailed, like little like carvings and stuff. Like they all look like, you know, like gargoyles, or these huge statues that you'd see on the side of like old buildings and stuff. Just really fascinating. But what's really crazy about it is through all this wood kind of stuff, they have rats, and I believe they're real rats, just kind of running around this kind of like wooden sculpture world. I do get a lot of this like Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, the classic kind of like German expressionist silence definitely come into this. Like the world looks very much like these kind of off the wall like kind of sculptures. You know, you get a classic, almost like an MC Escher kind of, you know, just vibe to it all as well. Like just like all of this, and like it's crazy because there's like this, the way that there's no language to this. It's like a whole made up kind of absurdist language, and you know there's no actual like dialogue as far as like English or Czech. There's none of these languages being spoken. It's this whole made up kind of like alien language, but you still can get like kind of the basic story behind what's happening, and like the expressions on these characters' faces, the fact that they're all like carved out of wood, but each like character has its own kind of look, and some of them are utterly hilarious, man. Like I remember seeing like these guys come up on screen, I'm like, that's fucking beautiful. It's so funny to look at some of these characters, like the kind of like representations of faces, you know, human faces that they're coming up with. And some of them like work very well as well. It's just like such like a cool kind of aesthetic. There's so much like unique kind of individuality to each character and each little story within these kind of, you know, within this film, within this world that it's building up. It's just such a beautiful looking film, and interesting kind of, again, like those other two films from the Russian company I was talking about, you get a lot of folklore. And this is like the classic European folklore. The Pied Piper, we all pretty much know the story. But just interesting kind of take on it, how he's, what he's going up against, this kind of like rich, ruling, greedy class. The way they view him, it's just fascinating how they were able to use this story in this kind of crazy sort of world that they're building up. So yeah, just very, very cool. It's another one. You see it on the biggest screen you possibly can. It looks beautiful. And you got like a couple of other shorts, some like, documentaries on how they made it, some like archival material as well. Very cool. Yeah, this is probably my favorite release from them. And yeah, I still got a lot I gotta grab from them, but just very cool. I love Def Crocodile. It's just like they've been releasing so much cool shit. So yeah, if you got any films that I have not discussed that have come out through Def Crocodile, you got your own kind of picks that you would want to talk about, throw them down there in the comments. You have any corrections or something to add on to what I said about these films, throw that in the comments as well. Like and subscribe, usual kind of stuff on the way. In a couple of days, probably going to drop another Stop, Watch, and Listen. A little bit of an update. I did go to CT Horror Fest over the weekend, like I had talked about, but the big thing with me is like I didn't spend too much time there. It was pretty overwhelming. Really wasn't my bag. I don't know what it is. Like, I was mostly going to look for like posters and t-shirts kind of stuff, and I did find some. I got this nice Nightmare on Elm Street 3 shirt. Got a couple of movies from the archive table. It was just funny to me how, like, I go to archive all the time, and I'm like, I want to go to a convention and find stuff I'm not going to usually find at archive. And just my luck, nothing interests me. But I got some cool posters. I'll probably talk about this more in the Stop, Watch, and Listen video. But I did pick up some tapes, some of the rarer VHS that Archive has been getting in lately. Just a lot of really cool stuff. I got a couple of older Blu-rays. Nothing out of print, but just while I'm there, why not? Got some one sheets. Really excited about those, and that's pretty much it. It's just like I'm not really much of a con guy, but I wanted to try it. Check it out. I used to go up to the one in Worcester every year, Rock and Shock, but they haven't done that in a while. So just to try it out. But this was definitely overwhelming. And from what I was reading, there was a bit of a disconnect between the venue and the organizers of the event. They weren't really seeing eye to eye. There was a lot of kind of weird mishaps. I got there early, so you're waiting in line a long time. I feel like if I showed up a little bit later, it would have been better, but everything was chaos. It's very claustrophobic in there. I did not end up doing any of the celebrity signings or anything like that, which I've said it before. I'm not really that kind of guy who likes going out and getting autographs and talking to these people and everything like that. It's just not really my bag. But, I'll go more into detail in the upcoming episode. So, yeah, but that's about it. Like I said, like and subscribe if you have not yet. If you need to find me on social media, I'm on Instagram as the Hordes of Manzerfaust. And yeah, that'll about do it. So this is Mike Manzer with another Manzerfaust Productions video. Stay fucking metal.